A very warm welcome. Tonight, I am Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin by telling you that Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has directed heads of local government administration to take charge of the 23 council areas of the state. This follows Monday's expiration of the statutory 3-year tenure of the elected chairman, vice chairman, and councillors. Fubara gave the directive Tuesday morning in a statewide broadcast. He thanks the elected chairman and councillors for their service, which, according to him, expired on Monday.
What is happening in Rivers State even happened in Bayelsa, but people could call and say.
In the meantime, Governor Fubara convened a Security Council meeting with heads of security agencies following recent political developments in the state. The meeting was held behind closed doors at the Government House in Port Harcourt on Tuesday. After the meeting, Fubara told the press that discussions centered on strategies to contain the invasion of local government secretariats. He cautioned the immediate past council chairman against harboring false hopes of returning to their positions. Fubara, however, raised an alarm over an alleged plan by his opponents to arrest his supporters. He also pledged to personally protect them, saying anyone attempting such arrest will have to confront him first. Staying in Rivers State, the police command has confirmed the death of a policeman and a member of a local security outfit in Eberi, Umoma, in Umoma local government area of the state on Tuesday. They were reportedly killed during a crisis that broke out following the expiration of the 3-year tenure of the elected chairman of local governments and ward councillors on June 17. Violence also broke out in Port Harcourt local government area and Obiakpo local government area of the state.
In Rivers State has been anticipated over the few weeks, where you could see where a local government chairman challenging the authority of a governor. In a democracy and in a system, in a legalized system of government, that should not happen. Currently, I'm at Faga. Of course, the right to protest is a well-known fact that we have rights in a democracy. We all have rights to protest. So the youths peacefully were protesting upon the challenge by the local government chairman that they are not going to vacate their seats. There were a few protests here and there in Falga. All of a sudden, the police came and started shooting sporadically, which is against the engagement, the rules of engagement. And so it is pitiable that the military.
We're now joined by former Commissioner for Information and Communications in Rivers State, Obunna Nwuke, and also Associate Professor of Public Law, Rivers State University, Richard Wokocha. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. I'll start with you, Obunna. How does the replacement of 23 council bosses impact the administrative structure of Rivers State government, and what are the potential consequences for local governance?
Well, thank you for the question. I think we should just go straight to the fact that there is a season when you have a beginning and a season when the end must come. And in Rivers State, the end has come for the 23 local government chairmen who have served Rivers people and served their people at the grassroots level. So clearly, what does this mean? It means that we're in a period of transition when people, if they are not sit-tight leaders, must appreciate the fact that they've had the opportunity to serve their state and their people, and also that they owe a responsibility not to create tension as they depart from office. Going by the local government laws that are available in Rivers State, their tenure expired on Monday the 17th. And reasonably, they ought to hand over their notes to officials at the local government level. But unfortunately, we have had a situation on our hand where, as a result of the instigation of some persons, probably with evil minds, who insist that they should not hand over, they have decided, some of them have decided to resist. Now, that is where we are. But
Okay.
To be frank, the Rivers people know that the tenures of these 23 have expired, and that the time has come, to...
Okay, let's go over quickly to Prof and just get his perspective on things. What are the concerns? Why are these people agitating to stay? Before we talk about other issues, could you just clear it for us? Because there seem to be 2 court rulings in contention here. Prof, if you can hear me, sir. All right, I suspect we have lost connection with the Prof. So I'll go back to Ogbonna now. Ogbonna, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay, great. I know you're probably not in the legal field, but there seem to be 2 courts a judgment that is in contention here that's given impetus to these chairmen to say that they want elongated tenure. Could you walk us through what the complications are and why it doesn't seem to be clear? What actions are supposed to happen?
Well, of course, there is a court action brought by the federal government, which is pushing for the autonomy of local governments. And that matter is before the Supreme Court. And it has nothing to do with tenure elongation. It has something to do rather with the autonomy of local government councils, given the fact that the federal government thinks that interference of states in the affairs of local governments should, as we make progress in our democracy, be removed. Now, the other case which we have on our hand. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead. We can hear you loud.
Okay. Now, the other matter that we have, which is before the courts here, has to do with the issue of whether or not this the lawmakers, for instance, in Rivers State, are still bona fide members of the House. And insofar as we know, the matter has not been vacated. And so I do not imagine that what we have before us in Rivers State has something to do with the courts, because there are no clear pronouncements coming from the courts, which say local government chairmen must remain in power. But what we have happening in Rivers State, as we make progress here, is that some persons who think that the grassroots, rulership of the grassroots is somehow important to them, are instigating their supposed supporters who have completed their tenure, who should not be sit-tight leaders, to resist a transition process. There's nothing in the Constitution that says, that tenure can be elongated at the local government level.
All right, quickly, how does the governor's decision align with or diverge from past practices in Rivers State, and what are the potential reasons behind this approach? Ogbonna, the question is for you. Can you hear me?
Look, my dear sister, you see, I can say to you that, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, I think we have...
now, can you repeat the question?
Okay, I'm just trying to find out from you. Okay, could you just hold on one now? I understand we have the Prof back. Prof, if you can hear me, can you acknowledge?
Yes, I can. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great to have you back. Does the Nigerian Constitution or any relevant law grant Governor Fubara the authority to appoint heads of administration to take over these local government councils upon the expiration of their terms? If so, are there any specific procedures or limitations outlined in the law that the governor must follow in making these appointments?
Certainly not. the tenure of local government officers or chairmen and councillors is governed by the local government law of every state, made pursuant to Section 7 of the Constitution, which provides for power of the states to make law establishing local governments and determining tenure and all of that. So once a tenure expires, it's a matter of law. From the moment the tenure expires, you complete the 3 years, the tenure expires. Appointment of or instructing heads of administration to take charge is an administrative measure. It does not require any procedure. It does not require approval by House of Assembly or anything. No, it's an administrative measure. And it follows naturally. In the absence of the chairman, the head of administration takes charge until the chairman emerges. So there is no law. There is no law that requires that the governor must take any particular position or take any particular steps before he can do that.
All right.
It is natural flow of the law, administrative process.
So are there any likely legal challenge or objections that might arise from the decision? And if that is the case, what would that be?
There are absolutely none. Prior to this time, prior to end of May, we had an attempt by the gentlemen who left the House of Assembly, who vacated their seats in the House of Assembly. We had an attempt by them to review the law to extend the tenure of local government chairmen. Incidentally, that attempt has been struck down by the Rivers State High Court, presided over by Justice DGQ, yes, Dr. DGQ, judge of Rivers State High Court, who has ruled that that provision is unconstitutional, as indeed it is, and it also violates the Section 9, subsection 1 of the Rivers State House of Assembly Law 2018. So there is no legal challenge.
So what in your mind, I put this question in a different phrasing too, when I want you to speak on it. What in your mind is causing this current escalation of crisis? I mean, you have factions fighting, one dead already, many others injured. What could be the reason for this face-off between the local chairmen who know that their tenure has expired, if we are to follow what you were saying, and then the governor who insists that new administrators must take over?
Okay, if the question is for me,
yes, it is for you, Prof.
Then certainly it is lawlessness, and a most unfortunate level of lawlessness that should not. Good. So it's lawlessness, pure and simple, and the most unfortunate level of lawlessness. Nobody contends against the constitution of a nation, not even the most powerful man in that nation. That is the last thing even a madman will do. So it is something that should not happen. And I think Mr. President should better watch it, because I think gradually this could degenerate to something else.
I will certainly hope that is not the case.
Lawlessness, and it should not be allowed in any nation.
We certainly hope that the situation does not escalate further. Gentlemen, I have to say thank you very much. When I thank you, I wish we had more time to speak with you, but I'm told that's the much we can take. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Now, calm and normalcy seem to have been restored in Bukuru Market, where irate youth, most of them traders, had clashed with the task force of the Just Metropolitan Development Board, who were on an enforcement drive. News Centre's Chizoba Anionwe was on the entourage of the commander of the Operation Safe Haven, Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar, who visited the affected area for an on-the-spot assessment of the incident. Our report.
One would say it is unfortunate this incident is coming just 4 days after News Central had held a town hall in Jos for the restoration of peace in the state. However, on arrival at the market after the incident on Monday, some traders had opened their shops for business as usual, while some others were seen standing by theirs, undecided on whether or not to join others. None of the traders foresaw what happened the previous day, and so they are skeptical about how the day will go, especially with the heavy security in place to ensure no further breakdown of law and order. However, as at the time of filing this report, no member of the JMDB task force was seen around the market, but some of the victims of the incident spoke to us.
In their clear terms, they say, Kafito Arna Zamukesheka, that's come out and infidel, we will kill you. They knock, and then one of them said, I Suduga Sungudu, literally translated as they have left already. And then they continued with what they were doing. And to the glory of God, I was there with my two kids, my staffs, and others. And then one of them now said, let's buckle the shop and see whether the infidel is inside. One of them said, allow them, they will roast inside from the smoke that is coming from the burnt cars. My car, my wife's car, 4 other cars were actually burnt.
He wasn't part of this, and look at he's in 200 level law school. You understand? And this is the father of the boy, a limper. You understand? He managed to pay the school fees and take care of his son, his only son.
Please, we are begging the government to come and intervene on this matter. We the women, we are not happy. The mothers, some of our children that are coming up, they kill them. We are not happy with what happened. So the government should know what to do.
If there is anything from government that they want people to obey, they could have just select the leaders and go to the table, sit down and trash this, because a lot of people are hungry, and this is the way they can come here and get their daily bread. So what happened was unfortunate, and I hope this thing is not going to happen again.
One of the major questions on the lips of many who spoke off record include, why would the JMDB, a government agency, work on a public holiday? And among others, why would the security men from the police, civil defense and DSS attached to them shoot at people, which led to the death of 2? While those questions beg for answers, proper management of the situation in order to prevent any further escalation is the call of many.
This is actually where some of those vehicles were set ablaze yesterday by the irate youths, but we cannot see any of the vehicles around now. We've been told that they've been taken away, and where they were taken to, we do not know, and so we cannot tell. But as you can see behind me, the General Officer Commanding of 3 Division, Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, and of course the Commander of Operation Safe Haven here in Jos, is on the ground to see the level of destruction of what has happened here yesterday. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anionwe.
If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Rivers Governor Fubara replaces 23 local council bosses as their tenure expires. Calm returns to Bukuru Market in Plateau State after youths clash with Taskforce. Former Kanu Governor Kwakwanso accuses federal government of backing deposed Emir of Kanu, Bayero. And rebels loyal to deposed Niger Republic's ousted President Bazoum destroy oil pipeline. Now, the 2023 presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwakwanso, has accused the All Progressive Congress-led federal government of succumbing to ill advice from those he described as enemies of Kano State. Kwakwanso made the remark during a flag-off ceremony for the construction of 82-kilometer rural road network in his hometown of Madobi by Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. The accusation follows the ongoing emirate tussle where federal security agencies have reportedly been supporting the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero. Kwakwanso, a former governor of the state, emphasized that the people of Kano would not tolerate any attempts to undermine the state's constituted authority. Sons and daughters of Ijebode gathered to celebrate the annual Ojude Oba festival. Ojude Oba, the King's Forecourt, is an ancient festival celebrated by the Yoruba people of Ijebode, a major town in Ogun State, southwestern Nigeria. This annual festival usually takes place on the 3rd day after Eid al-Kabir, Ileya, to pay homage and show respect to the Royal Majesty, the Awujale of Ijebuland. It is one of the most spiritual and glamorous festivals celebrated in Ijebuland and generally in Ogun State as a whole. My colleague, Bernard Akede, covered the ceremony and now joins me on the news. Hello, Bernard.
Hello, Felicity.
Tell us about your experience.
Well, this would be my second Ojude Oba festival, which I covered. I did.
Yes, I remembered one of last year.
Yeah, exactly,
yes.
And almost the same settings, like lightning strikes twice the same place.
Indeed,
right?
probably happen again next year.
Maybe. But this year, it was, just as you mentioned in your introduction, extremely glamorous. Some of the videos and pictures have already made their way onto social media. As a matter of fact, it was one of the top trends on X today in Nigeria, and that, of course, is because of the glamorous attire, particularly, might I say, of the women of the Yoruba land.
Yes, we always represent.
Very, very well. And then, but besides that, just as you also mentioned, it's also a spiritual festival where illustrious sons and daughters of Ijebu land from far and wide actually come home, not just to celebrate the Ileya or the Salah ceremonies, but also they wait 2 days after Salah just to celebrate this particular festival. So immediately the festival is done, then there are the parties and ceremonies going on in almost all the households in Ijebu-Ode.
Let us see what you saw. All right, let's see the package now.
While most Muslims across Nigeria are excited to celebrate the annual Idul Adha celebration, indigenes of Ogun State, and particularly those from Ijebu-Ode, have something extra to look forward to, the Ojude Oba Festival. This is an annual festival that brings together illustrious sons and daughters of Ijebu-Ode from across the globe to celebrate with one another in the presence of the governor, traditional rulers, and invited guests. Several dignitaries, some indigenes of Ijebu-Ode, were in attendance to grace the occasion, and many couldn't wait to see the various groups in elegant traditional attires as they marched around the arena, paying homage to the Awujale of Ijebu land, the governor, and other dignitaries present. While addressing the crowd, the governor of Ogun State thanked the people for showing up in large numbers and was excited about the idea of making Ojude Oba a UNESCO-recognized event in the future, as suggested by Dr. Ben Ugo, who represented the Minister of Culture and Creative Economy.
Tourism can be a powerful tool for economic development and commercialization when managed responsibly and sustainably. Unquote. This festival, I must say, is being managed responsibly and sustainably. The festival not only preserves our tradition, but also creates opportunities for economic advancement, demonstrating the power of unity in driving progress. As a state, we are proud that this festival has gained national and global recognition.
And as it always is every year, the highlight of the festival was the horse display by the royal families, which lit up the arena.
I came from the UK. You understand? So if I can come from the UK, this is my wife beside me. If we can come next year, I want to bring my children to come as well. So it's just for you to know your roots. That's just the basic.
And so ends this year's festival, Ojude Oba 2024. For the illustrious sons and daughters of the land, they cannot even wait for next year to come, and they're excited that this has happened. But then for Nigeria entirely, if things go according to plan, based on what the minister has said, this festival may just be on UNESCO's list.
As always, Bernard. I heard something about UNESCO mentioned being a heritage site. How serious do you think the governor is about that?
Well, I think not just the governor, now the Minister of Culture and Tourism, who was ably represented, who had an able representation, was the one who brought this up. And I think, as a matter of fact, some of our festivals, this one particularly, and then the Argungu Fishing Festival, and a few others, even in the eastern part of Nigeria, and then the Calabar Christmas Festival. Some of these ones should actually be recognized by UNESCO, possibly they should make the list. This one particularly, I think,
we have to do something, right, before that can happen.
Of course. We would need to push it further. And then, thank you for mentioning that. I quickly have to say that we also need to tidy it up. Unfortunately, I think one downside of the festival, it was the arena was overcrowded, and then some people did get injured because of the crowd. So I think, first of all, they need to tidy it up and ensure that there's safety, and that everything moves smoothly. But besides that, I'm hopeful that this festival and several others will make it to UNESCO's
You
list.
had fun and you worked. Welcome back and thank you for the report.
Thank you for having me.
All right, residents of Nigeria's federal capital, Abuja, came out to mark the second day of Salah celebrations just before the commencement of work activities. Some of them who spoke to News Central at the popular Millennium Park located within the city center urged the government to address the escalating inflation which is affecting the cost of goods and services. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, completes the report.
The Millennium Park was full with fun seekers as they came out in their numbers for a last-moment fun with friends and loved ones. There were plenty to eat and drink as they rounded up the public holidays before the start of normal work activities. Speaking to News Central Television, some of them lamented the high cost of living and urged the government to urgently intervene.
If they can help us control the price of foodstuffs, at least if we are not wearing big clothes, let us have something to fill our stomach.
Here in Abuja, there are a lot of one chances everywhere. So we are no longer safe in Abuja. So if you don't have your own car now, you are not safe in this Abuja. So me, what I want is peace of.
If there's a way they can provide job, even if it's not 100%, even if it's 40 or 50, so that people can at least ship in, do one or two things.
Let's be honest, we are tired. Let these people, let them just do the best. Let them just put the things right and then, make this country work for each and every one of us. They shouldn't wait for until the day Nigerians will carry cutlass and then, start chasing everybody.
Some of the youths we met also expressed themselves.
Reduction on cost of living, like maybe if they can do something to reduce it by 20%, 30%, it will be okay. And also electricity. If now you don't have these units, it's very, very costly to pay for your electricity bill.
They should help us too, because this is very, very tough. Like weekly, daily, things are just getting increasing, and it's very difficult to even get things to the house sometimes. Like it's not like before.
Many parents are suffering to keep with the upkeep of their children's school fees. Most children are getting sent out of school because their parents can't afford their school fees, and the economy is hard. My request here is that the federal government should find a way to make sure that the ecosystem is running smoothly and parents are able to provide for their families.
While many of the fun seekers here are set to resume normal work activities after a 2-day public holiday for the Salah celebration, it is their hope that the request made here today will be taken seriously by the federal government. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Commercial taxi operators with the Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers in the nation's capital, Abuja, have criticized the inability of past and present leaders in the capital to invest in the city's transport system by empowering commercial cab drivers with soft loans, despite the construction and commissioning of new road infrastructure in recent times. They, however, applauded the Federal Capital Territory Development Authority for the completion and rehabilitation of roads within Abuja, saying this has reduced the gridlock within the city center, thereby improving their business. News Center's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Nigeria's Minister of the Federal Capital Territory commissions new roads in Abuja. And as expected, citizens ply the road with ease. The beneficiaries who are most excited about this development are these commercial taxi drivers. They say it makes business easy and more profitable.
The road has actually improved the business style we have been doing before.
Are you supposed to see we can one-on-one say, and for people congratulate and shake and say yes, it's try for we.
When you are going somewhere, you think of about 2 or 3 roads that link to the same area. Which one is the fastest? So based on that, for him to complete some of those roads for us, I commend him.
Within 6 months or 8 months that he has spent on that particular district, he really tried.
Some of them, however, decry the current state of transportation in the federal capital, which they say is being neglected by government.
It's not about the new road. Even the fuel that they give us, when they say 680, 670, 695, some filling station.
It is one thing to have a good road, and it is another thing to do something that will help you to use this road. I'm a graduate, and I see myself struggling, to manage an old car. And many of us are even driving to another person. And therefore, the levy placed on some of these vehicles, we are finding it difficult to survive after the remittance. Some of us are paying 40,000, some of 40,000 weekly to the owner of the vehicles. And by the time you minus the cost of the fuel increment from what we are doing, you can make as much as 100,000 naira in a week. But the cost of fuel, I took my time to calculate how much I spent on fuel last month. I calculated 720,000 naira on my fuel alone.
Like now, like those cars that we are using, we do everything on our own. Sure, you understand? And it made this thing that is not that easy for us. Sure, you understand? But if it is that kind of a soft loan, at least you get some certain things that they do it for you. You will not do it all. The load will be a little bit reducing on us.
The only thing I notice along this Amadu Bello way, most of the traffic are faulty.
Nigeria's administrative capital remains one of the fastest growing cities in the world. And if the FCT administration listens to the request made by these transport workers, it means that investors and tourists will be having a good time soon. In Abuja, for News Central, I'm Emmanuel Bagudu.
The news continues in West Africa, where Niger rebels fighting for the release of the West African country's democratically elected leader have disabled part of a crucial pipeline carrying crude oil to Benin. Formed after Bazoum's ouster, the Rebel Patriotic Liberation Front said it had targeted the pipeline as a message to Niger's new military generals. The group's leader, Mohamed Salah, called on the Chinese company WAPCO and the state-owned China National Petroleum Corporation, which run the pipeline, to halt their funding to Niger's army regime. Vital to both the Nigerian and Beninese economies, the 2,000 kilometers long pipeline has become the subject of a diplomatic spat between the two West African neighbors. Since a military coup on July 26, Niger's president, Mohamed Bazoum, has been imprisoned at the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. Coming up now is business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
On business tonight, the Nigerian government has harmonized the criteria for the 2022-2023 mini bid round and the 2024 licensing rounds so as to attract fresh investments into Nigeria's upstream oil and gas sector. Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission Chief Executive Engineer Benga Komolafe announced the harmonization of the criteria for the mini bid round and the Nigeria 2024 licensing round following previous approvals, in a move that is geared towards boosting confidence in the transparency and continuity of the 2022-2023 deep offshore oil block mini bid round process, and in order to vacate entry barriers. Komolafe said that the commission sought and obtained the approval of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the petroleum minister. Let's also tell you that the National Palm Produce Association of Nigeria, NPPAN, says Nigeria spends $600 million annually on palm oil imports. Alphonsus Inyang, NPPAN's national president, stated this in an interview on Tuesday in Abuja. It described the expenses as unhealthy for national development. Yang said the amounts could be saved and injected into the economy if successive governments paid due attention to the palm oil subsector. The president said Nigeria, which was once self-sufficient in palm oil production, now spends a huge amount on imports of the same products. South Africa's Reserve Bank is waiting until November before it cuts its repo rate as economists continue to roll back their expectations when policy easing kicks off in response to slowing inflation. According to a Reuters poll conducted before the African National Congress and Democratic Alliance agreed to form a new government, the central bank will maintain the repo rate at 8.25% until November, despite previous predictions of a rate cut. 8 of 20 economists forecast a quarter-point cut in November. 7 predicted a 50 basis points move. 2 saw a 75 basis point cut, while 3 expected no change. And that's all on business news. We still have more for you. Don't go away. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
In sport, the 2024 WTT contender Lagos is a little under 24 hours away from gripping the table tennis fandom in Nigeria, with play set to get underway from the 19th of June. With the action taking place at the Molade Okoya Thomas Indoor Sports Hall in Lagos, the excitement continues to build ahead of the 5-day event, with hosts, wildcards and WTT nominations confirmed. The headline name joining the women's singles draw is Manika Batra, who receives a host's wildcard entry. Nigeria's attention will be fixed on Muiz Adegoke and Abdul Basit Abdul Fatai as the local up-and-comers take up positions in main draw as host wildcard and WTT nomination entries respectively. Both players debuted their WTT series in the qualifying round at last year's WTT contender Lagos 2023 and now get their first test of main draw action on the series.
In the Olympics, everybody is trying to get into the top 16, which takes you to the higher, to the round of 32, I believe, in the Olympics. So the problem you have is that if you are not in that round, you are liable to meet a top-ranked player much earlier than you'd like. So a lot of them will be fighting for that. We have a lot of, from China, I believe this is a lot of these players are from their national junior champions. The level of Chinese table tennis, that tells you these are world-class players.
Still talking table tennis, Olympic-bound Nigerian star Aruna Quadri continued his upward trajectory in the latest ITTF men's global rankings released today. In the latest ratings, Quadri moved up 1 place to 16th position, amassing a total of 1,280 points. The 35-year-old was one of the high-profile names expected to light up the WTT Contender Series Lagos, but injury has ruled him out of the tournament. In his absence, some of the top players competing at the 5-day championship arrived at the weekend, with the Indian, Chinese and Korean contingents touching down in Lagos on Monday in readiness for the preliminary matches which serve off on Wednesday, 19th of June 2024.
We all know, I wish Aruna was up on the screen. You see, Aruna's style is a very unique style. It's a very powerful style. And of course, I think some fallout from that is occasional muscle twings and things like that. So his physios have advised him to rest because the most important tournament for Aruna this year is the Olympics, and we're 4 or 5 weeks away from that.
And to wrap up sports update, France have received a major boost in their hopes to win Euro 2024 after it was revealed that Kylian Mbappe will not require an operation despite suffering a broken nose. Mbappe was forced off with a brutal injury during the later stages of Le Bleu 1-0 victory over Austria in the opening group game of the tournament on Monday night. It came after a nasty collision with Austrian defender Kevin Danso, leading to genuine fears from medics that Mbappe's Euro 2024 campaign was in doubt. However, in good news for Didier Deschamps' side, reports emanating from the French camp earlier today revealed that Mbappe will not require an operation on his nose. French outlet L'Equipe also went on to claim that the 25-year-old left the hospital in Düsseldorf late on Monday evening after undergoing various tests and diagnoses. That wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
Nigerian singer Simi has announced a new album, Lost and Found, set to be released on the 5th of July. This would be her 5th studio album, following To Be Honest in 2022, Omochale Champagne in 2019, Simisola 2017, Chemistry with Vows in 2017 and her debut album, Ojaju, in 2008. This year, she has already released 3 singles, All I Want, Men Are Crazy featuring Tiwa Savage, and Bro Me Your Baby with Vows. Simi shared that the album reflects her journey of self-discovery and reclaiming her connection with music. She claimed that making the album helped her find parts of herself she thought she had lost. Lost and Found symbolizes her ongoing quest for self-awareness and her chemistry with music and love stories. Simi hopes listeners will feel and enjoy the album's emotional depth and personal significance. And outside the continent, Justin Timberlake was arrested earlier today but has now been released from custody following his arraignment for driving while intoxicated in Sag Harbor, New York. The 43-year-old sexy back singer, who is set to commence his Justin Timberlake The Forget Tomorrow World Tour on the 21st of June, reappeared in court for his arraignment and was released from police custody shortly thereafter. The Sag Harbor Police Department issued a statement detailing the incident, which occurred on Madison Street. Timberlake was driving a 2025 BMW southbound when he failed to stop at a post stop sign and failed to maintain his lane. A Sag Harbor Village police officer initiated a traffic stop during which it was determined that Timberlake was driving while intoxicated. Following his arrest, Timberlake was processed and held until dawn before his arraignment. He is scheduled to reappear in court again on the 26th of July. And that is all on entertainment. Ojude, an ancient festival celebrated by the Yoruba people of Ijebu-Ode, a major town in Ogun State, southwestern Nigeria, is trending. Now, this annual festival usually takes place on the 3rd day after Ileya to pay homage and show respect to the Royal Majesty, the Awujale of Ijebu land. It is one of the most spiritual and glamorous festivals celebrated in Ijebu land and generally in Ogun State as a whole. Now, here is what people had to. Ex-user The Pagan of Lagos says, Ojodoba Festival 2024, the indigenes of Ijebu has made it a tradition to celebrate their rich and indigenous culture every year. Yoruba is 100%. Another user, Omoiya Olomi, says Ojodoba, where the warlords pay respect to their king, where the Ijebu people paint the world in the colors of their history, where different dynasties show themselves to the world. Ijebu Remiwa. Legendary Joe says, the Ojude-Oba Festival, which means the King's Court Festival, has a long history with Ijebu people, more than 2 centuries since the very first celebration during the rule of Oba Adesimbo Tuashe. It's today a symbol of unity and celebration of the proud cultural heritage. Kabiesio, Yoruba leads always. And finally, Ifafunsho says, today, all Ijebu families will be showing respect to their Oba, the Awujale, and that is all on Trending tonight.
And that is all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Rivers Governor Fubara has replaced 23 local council bosses as their tenure expires. Calm has returned to Bukuru Market in Plateau State after youths clash with Taskforce. Former Kano Governor Kwakunso has accused federal government of backing deposed Emir of Kano, Bayero. And we also brought you news that rebels loyal to deposed Niger Republic's ousted President Bazoum have destroyed oil pipeline. Do send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen, or you can follow us on social media at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Good night.